What's popping, people in the sliding patty? And I'm here with D.O. Gibson.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, how you doing today, bro?
I'm doing great. I just came back from doing 3 performances. I got 3 more tomorrow. I got 3 more on Friday, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ready for it. It's Black History Month, so it's great to be able to go out and spread the message and also be able to do it with hip hop.
In regards to hip hop, you have a record for the longest freestyle rap.
Sayings about the word of glaze because it go on for many days. I call it the CARTER.
Now, I gotta ask you, how are you feeling mentally during hour 2, hour 4, hour 6, and hour 8? Because you did it for what, 8 hours and like 45 minutes?
8 hours. But you didn't ask me how I felt at the start. When I was getting ready to do it, I saw Master T. And so when I was growing up, MuchMusic is where you came to for everything. Master T, a legend. And he's talking to me about it before. So I wasn't so bad in the morning, but now I'm starting to get a little nervous because I didn't know how long I was going to rap for. I was creating the record, so I only had to go for 10 minutes. The organization that put it on had come out with a newspaper or a magazine, and I had said, I don't know if I'm going to go 3 hours or 8 hours, and they just put, I'm going for 8 hours. I compare it to reading because I go to so many schools, and I don't know about you, but when I read a book, if it's homework, sometimes I'm like, oh, I can't get into it. I have to read a chapter. But then sometimes you read for like 30 minutes and then you just keep reading and time flies by. And to me, that's the same with rapping. It's getting in the zone, like I used to play basketball. I'm not like a huge athlete, but you go out and play basketball. Oh, we've been out here for 4 or 5 hours. So to answer your question, the hardest part was to start, just getting into it. Because once you start rapping and rhyming, you just get lost in the flow. You're just in the zone. Like I was in a trance. So the only moment I remember was 4 hours because that's when I was allowed to take a break because it's considered a marathon by Guinness. So I had a 15-minute break, got a chance to go to the washroom and gather my thoughts. But then I was like, I got to do another 4 hours. But I wasn't so worried because I already did 4 hours. I've come halfway. So the rest, I just went with the flow. I think the key to being a great musician, be a great rapper, is to be able to not think. Because it's like when you start rapping, it's like, yo, check it out, I'm on MuchMusic. Okay, what rhymes with music? You know what I mean? Whereas like when you're in the flow, when you're in the zone, you're not even thinking. And when you're in the studio, when you're writing a song, like if you're just trying to come up with something great, like that's kind of when you hit the writer's block. So even when I'm just in the studio making music, I just try to get to a point where I'm in the zone where it's just flowing. I'm not even thinking about it.
You're probably in the zone when this EP drops soon, Songs of Freedom, right?
I like it. I like the segue. Yeah, I'm definitely in the zone for it because, Black History Month, but I've been doing this for 20 years. So I know when it's February, I'm going to go to a lot of schools. I go to a lot throughout the year. But I also want to create content that relates to Black history, but not just saying like Martin Luther King said he had a dream. Like, I don't want to just make it like that. So the idea for the EP came from Bob Marley's Redemption song. And the cool thing about that song is it has a Canadian connection, that he spent a lot of time in Canada when he was coming up because he really broke in Canada before he did around the world. A lot of people don't know that. And he read a magazine from Marcus Garvey speaking in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. And he was at this Menelink Hall, which is right beside the church that my great-grandfather helped be a co-founder of. So I'm like, this is crazy. That's when he read the lyric, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. And that became the iconic Redemption song. And so we redid the song, made it a little Fuji style, because that's the music I grew up with, was the Fugees doing like a Bob Marley, put some hip hop in there. But he says that line in that song, these songs of freedom. And I love listening to all types of hip hop music, but I always love like good conscious music. I'm not listening to it because I'm like, I've got to learn something, but it's just like, there's something about records like Fight the Power or My Philosophy that just really hit me. For rappers and artists that stand behind a meaning, that don't want to just rap about material objects, but are talking about something that's going on in the world.
Let's talk about the tour. Now, is it called the Black Canadian Tour, School Tour, or the Songs of Freedom Tour?
Kind of called everything. So it's Black Canadian 365 is what I branded the program because, you know, after George Floyd, we're coming back into schools. You know, I'd been doing things during COVID, and people always had said to me, you know, we've got to do it beyond just February. Everybody always says this about Black History Month. But it was cool to see people are actually doing it. So when I started selling out February, but booking March, and then booking January before, and then getting requests to come out to BC in June to talk about Black history, I thought this is pretty cool. But each year, I want to have a theme. So this year's theme, Songs of Freedom. So you're correct on both fronts, that it's Black Canadian 365, but also Songs of Freedom, because I'm always trying to bring music in there. Like, for instance, I was telling kids today about Deborah Cox, because it's unfortunate a lot of kids, they don't know who Deborah Cox is. But I say this is a woman who was singing background vocals for Celine Dion. People have seen Celine lately. And then she was signed by Clive Davis, who signed Whitney Houston. And she's just the second Black person in Canada's Music Hall of Fame and the first Black woman. I love being able to play a song like Beautiful You Are, because that is a song of freedom. And I think it's important for kids to be like, I gotta go check out this Deborah Cox and, you know, become familiar with her music, because she's a iconic Canadian singer. It's amazing when I do name that tune and kids don't know who Michael Jackson is.
Yo, that's crazy, bro.
But they might come home and play it, and mom and dad is like, what are you playing? You know, you're not just playing Ice Spice. And I think that's a great thing that they're playing and learning more about music.
Who would be a Black artist that's a game changer to you? There's definitely a lot of them, but just the first one you can think about the top of your head.
The first one I thought was Jay-Z, because I did like his Grammy acceptance speech. But I'd have to say Childish Gambino, because I'm a big fan of Donald Glover as an artist. And I think it's really cool when you see somebody who's pushing the boundaries of culture. You know, whether it's, I was watching his new TV show, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but I was talking to my friend Rochester, and we were talking about, you know, how he did This Is America. I look at him as a game changer who's always pushing the culture, and whether it's the TV show at ATL, Atlanta, whether it's his music, and, you know, he's somebody who I can't wait to hear more from as well, because I think it's cool when an artist can take the classical elements of hip hop, but continue to push the boundaries. When I look at her music videos, a lot of them are just in the deli. I miss the days of those big creative videos that like Busta Rhymes would give you. So when like Childish Gambino came out with that, it was like, it was a must see. It was like, tell your friends, have you seen this yet? And not just heard the song, but have you seen it? And I think it's great when more artists are committed to making those powerful images on the screen. When I got into the music industry in 2001, and I was looking for a manager, and I couldn't find one. And I was looking for a record label, and I couldn't find one. And I did the Guinness World Record, and even media was slow on it, and labels were slow. But I went to the States, and I was getting a little bit more traction, a lot more. But I started going to industry parties and going to these industry events. And I'd be the darkest person in them. And if you look at me, I'm pretty light. I know it's the winter though, but still, there was not very many Black people in the room at all. What I pride myself in is that I went to those other territories. I went to France and music conferences, and I advocated for artists to showcase at music events like in New School Rules in the Netherlands, A3C in Atlanta. And so when we're going to these places, I also knew I can't just take my friends, my generation, my peers. I have to think outside the box and say, you know, who's somebody from the city that could rock down Atlanta? And I love how those things continue to go on to this day, because I still remember going to Atlanta and hanging out with this young artist, Jessie Reyes. The rest is history. And it's not like I did anything for her career per se, but, you know, just being part of and seeing that growth. Drake used to record at our studio. Did comeback season there. I've seen artists go from 0 to 1 million. And what that made me do is made me want to say like, who's the next one? And, you know, like, again, it's not being like, yo, I helped you so much in the day, you forgot me, why didn't you show me out? It's more just being like, I just like to see people succeed. Because I think the more of us succeed, That's how you build a strong infrastructure, right? The more of us succeed, and I don't look at anybody as competition. I want us all to win.